Hey guys, doing a video on large moray eels. This guy here is a Tessalata eel. What I'm going to look at is housing these guys in the home aquarium and kind of look at the good, the bad. We're going to see kind of how he acclimated in and ultimately hopefully give you enough information to answer the question for yourself of, do you really want one of these guys in your tank? We're going to specifically look at buying and tank requirements of this guy or of any large moray eel. The things you're going to go through while they acclimate to their new environment, because there is a lot that occurs. There's a lot of damage that occurs, a lot of destruction that they do during that process. We're also going to look at appropriate tank mates. And then, of course, are they reef safe? And what cautions do I have for the reef environment that you guys would put these guys in? We're going to look at feeding. I think there's a lot of good points to make on feeding of this guy that a lot of people don't realize or don't think about when they make this purchase. And then, of course, we're going to look at how you get to enjoy this guy after he's settled in, and what does that look like long-term, keeping this guy happy and healthy. The large moray eel I'm using in this example is the guy you've been seeing in the background. This is my guy. He's a large Tessalata eel. Right now he's about 3 feet long, also known as a honeycomb eel or a leopard eel. And of course, this is what I'm going to use as my example as I go through my journey getting this guy into my tank. So let's get into it. All right, so just as a reminder, these are the topics that are going to be covered. So let's jump into buying and tank requirements. When it comes to buying one of these guys, my biggest suggestion is don't just jump out there and start looking online to find the eel you want. Will you find it? Absolutely. There's plenty of online retailers that sell these guys, but you are going to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars. If you look for this guy online, a small one is $160, $70. To get a 3-foot one like I have here, you're going to be up to $350. Don't do that. That's huge, expensive purchase. I recommend before you do that to look locally. Look on Facebook Marketplace. See if there's a local hobbyist that has one that is just trying to get rid of it and get it out of their tank. I will say, this guy is one of those purchases that people make. They think about it, they really want it, they go out and they spend hundreds of dollars, and then it becomes a regret purchase. They regret having it in their tank because of the acclimation, because of the damage that it does, because of the feeding, which we'll get into later, and they just want it gone. And they're willing to get rid of it for pennies on the dollar, sometimes even free. So before you jump out onto an online retailer and look for these guys, look locally, look on Facebook Marketplace, and see any other local board where you buy and sell saltwater stuff, and see if you can find one locally. It's going to be your best bet. All right, so let's talk about tank requirements. There's a few requirements. You need a large tank, obviously. I see a lot of different online retailers recommending tanks up to 180 gallons. Personally, I think if you have a 6-foot long tank to give them plenty enough room to move around, it should be sufficient. And the reason being is large moray eels like this guy grow up to 6 feet. So putting a 6-foot eel in a 4-foot tank just doesn't make a ton of sense. So as long as you have a large tank that's 6 feet long, I think you should be good. You also want to make sure that you have lots of rocks stacked in a formation that allows for caves and crevices for the guy to move through. And then caves need to be large enough to accommodate the eel's full size. My rockscape in the back is all one big cave, but there's several crevices and holes for him to come in and out of. And I also have a power head blowing across the back through the cave, which keeps air or water movement through there and doesn't let it get stagnant. All these requirements are many reasons why a lot of hobbyists choose to go with smaller moray eels, such as the popular snowflake eel that can be housed in tanks as little as 50 gallons. All right, so let's talk about acclimating them to their new environment. While acclimating to their new environment, these guys can do some serious damage to your rockscape and sand bed. So we're going to go through a couple warnings here and show you some pictures of damage that was done while this guy was acclimating to his new environment. So you're seeing video here of holes that he has dug and progressively deeper holes. You can see that the holes in the sand have been dug all the way down to the bottom glass. All that sand has been pushed away. So that perfect sand bed, not going to be attainable with one of these guys in your tank because they are going to dig and create crevices for their caves. So we have that one there, and he's also started working on a second one. You can see just digging straight down to that glass and creating holes. This brings up stability issues for your rock work that can also be a concern. So a couple things you want to keep in mind with your rockscape. You'll want to put your base rocks right on the bottom glass before you put the sand down. As these guys dig, they're going to dig and they're going to loosen up those rocks. So if they are sitting on top of the sand and they dig out the sand underneath the rock, your rockscape is going to come tumbling down. It's going to potentially kill tank inhabitants, including the eel itself. So if you know you're going to put one of these guys in, those rocks need to go on the bottom glass and you stack from there. Also, it's going to shake your rock work. So you need to glue that rock work together. Make sure it is strong, make sure it is sturdy, make sure it is glued. And then of course you can see there needed to be a place for all the sand to go that he moved. He decided that corner, that's where he piled it up. So now there's a big pile of sand in that corner and holes in my rock work. Again, make sure that rock work is stable. You do not want it to come crumbling down. Glue it together and place it on the bottom glass. All right, so looking at good tank mates and reef safe ability. Tank mates, pretty simple. If he can get it in his mouth, there's a high likelihood he's going to eat it. So as you can see here, I do have a porcupine puffer. Porcupine puffer is quite large, and I have a fox face there. The fox face is about 6 inches. And you can see a couple smaller fish in the background. I did get that clown out of there. There's a couple that were left that I couldn't catch. So this guy's still in there, hasn't been touched. And then a couple little guys here are still in there. And again, they haven't been touched either, but they are at risk. From a reef safe ability standpoint, these guys are going to be reef caution, mostly because of the damage that they're going to do during acclimation. They're going to be knocking over the rocks. They can damage things. Also, another consideration is you can't have things like cleaner shrimp in there. Why? Because they're going to eat it. So things like that are also considerations when you're thinking about, the reef aspect of having this guy. Some hermit crabs and snails and things like that will be fine, but the biggest risk you're going to have is the cleanup crew items such as shrimp, as well as he is going to bump into the corals. So having a lot of SPS, you can have SPS, but it is a risk. Most of the corals you're going to see that I have that I'm putting in there are going to be soft corals. So things that if he bumps into them, it's not going to hurt him or the coral. So in addition to the blue mushrooms that you saw when I was showing the fish, and the carpet anemone that you just saw, and the cabbage leather that you just saw. So we've got the red yuma mushrooms that were on the screen. Those are the Captain Jerks, and now we have some green pallies. So again, the Captain Jerks, and we're going to go back over here to the red yuma mushrooms. We've also got a couple different type of green pallies. So you saw the ones on the other side. There's the carpet anemone again. We've also got green hairy mushroom right there. You can see above the carpet anemone. Eel's just coming up to say hi while I'm filming. He's very active. He does come out when I come up to the tank. He's very social. Whenever I come up to the tank, he is out. We've got green mushrooms back there. We've got more green pallies. That's a bird's nest, but I took it out just because he was bumping it. And then I've got a green leather that I just recently put in. It's small, but again, it's going to be another one of those right there where he can bump up against it and he's not going to harm it and it's not going to harm him. And then, of course, my green cabbage leather as well. So here's a better look at these green hairy mushrooms. This is the other green pallies that I have. They're a little mad right now because that guy's sitting on them. Better look at the green singular leather that I put in. It's finger leather, so you know it's going to grow and branch. Another look at that cabbage coral. It's a pretty good size. And then some white, under white light, looking at the blue mushrooms. They don't film very well under the blue light. Here's another look at the hairy mushrooms. And then we're going to take a look here at pulsing xenia frag that I just put in. This, of course, is one that's just going to grow pretty quickly and take over that little area. Great coral to put in with an eel. He's not going to be able to damage it. It's not going to damage him. And it's going to get some good look and movement to the tank. All right, so feeding. This guy eats a variety of things. I feed him silver sides, which are his favorite. I feed him peeled and deveined shrimp from the grocery market. And I feed him wild-caught calamari or squid. He gets chunks of those. And what people don't realize is it costs about $30 a month to feed this guy. That's why I say a lot of people get into this and then they realize all this extra stuff that they've got to do, all the stuff that's going on in the tank, and the total cost to feed him. And they tend to say, hey, maybe this was not a good purchase, which is why I was talking originally at the buying and saying you probably can find it locally for a lot cheaper. So you can kind of see him eating there. I just take it with the tongs. That was a silver side. Now I'm going to give him shrimp. Silver side's his favorite, so I give him one every night, and then I throw in shrimp or squid along with it. Again, I just use the tongs. Put it down in the water. He comes up and takes it, goes down, swallows it, and comes back for more. So definitely an active feeder. But again, this is one of those things that people don't realize when they buy this guy. He's going to be expensive to feed. And it's not just we're going to drop some pellets in the tank. We're going to drop some mysis in the tank. We're going to melt the frozen. You are going to be feeding him. Could I just drop it to the bottom of the tank and he'll find it? I could, but I don't think that's the right way to feed him. Feeding tongs definitely are the best. All right, what to expect after he settles in. Few things. One, all the digging will stop once he gets it the way he wants it. The digging, the pushing around the sand, the creating mounds, the digging down to the glass, all that's going to stop. It'll stop shaking your rock work. Your rock work will settle. Your sand will settle. And then he's just going to find his favorite spot and hang out. This is what he does most of the day. He just hangs out in this spot. He'll take a lap in the tank now and then he comes back and pretty much hangs out in this spot. Every so often he'll pop out a different one, pop out a side, but this is definitely his favorite spot. He likes to just hang out, chill, and watch. When I come down, I come towards the tank. He does come out and become active, most likely because he's wanting food. But also at this time, which is why I started getting my smaller fish out of there. At this time, once he's acclimated, he's got things where he wants, he's going to start clipping off them smaller fish. So if you have smaller fish in there, again, anything he can get in his mouth, he's probably going to eat. This is the time you'll probably start seeing those fish disappear once he gets acclimated, once he gets comfortable. All right, so hopefully you like this video. Hopefully it helped you answer the question on whether you want a large moray eel in your tank. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, check out some more of my content, and I'll get more out soon. Thanks, guys.